All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Holistic Cannabis Show with your hostess, Dr. Yolanda Henderson, and I am joined by my wonderful co-hosts,
Hen Henderson.
All right. I hope you all are having a wonderful Sunday. This is a wonderful day for us, but we have some bad news and some good news. We want to talk about all the good news first, but unfortunately we can't let today go by without telling you all the outlets of how to watch the show. So, Mr. Henderson, can you give them, the viewers, the way that they can watch the show or they could share the show?
StatusNetwork.net. Download the app. Instagram, ManifestTV.status. Facebook, ManifestTV.status. Twitter, status_network_. And Amazon, Roku, Fire Stick, Manifest TV, and on YouTube, Manifest TV. You can call in at 470-251-4647.
That's right. Call us. All right, so big shouts out to our son, Mr. King. We want to thank happy birthday to you. Big 12 years old. We love you, and we wishing you many more birthdays. That is
happy birthday, King.
Yes, he is a wonderful, kind child. He is our happy-go-lucky. He's always been a helper, always been the one who, when you need something done around the house, our little Mr. Fix-It. So we want to acknowledge him on today and all of the July birthdays. So if you had a July birthday, we want to wish you a very special happy birthday. All right. And so our topic for today's show is Sha'Carri Richardson and the Olympic ban as far as her smoking cannabis and having a little cannabis to smoke for her grieving stages in her life. We want to just say that we stand behind her and we support her. Mr. Henderson is going to give us what he thinks about it versus my own opinion, and it is what it is. She can't run in the Olympics, so we do know that to be a fact. But is it fair? Is it really the way that the cannabis industry is supposed to allow taking these problematics and making them something that's supposed to be a ban because they thinking it's something for recreational use? I always tell people that cannabis use is a product of not recreational, but of a health benefit. As a holistic health doctor, a naturopathic doctor, I have studied cannabis and I instruct on cannabis, and I do want to make notation of the health benefits. So another thing we're going to talk about in today's show is the health benefits that comes along with cannabis use. Not so much that is a performance enhancement, but that it has health benefits. It does things for the body that we already need versus those other Olympic runners that cannot run on the basis that their testosterone levels was too high. I mean, we want to hear from you guys. Someone got to call in and talk about this because it's so much going on. Their testosterone levels in these young ladies was high. And then there was other runners who wanted to run or are running, competing with the women that are males, and they have testosterone, or supposed to take testosterone, or supposed to have natural testosterone, okay? Because the precursor for testosterone, right, is progesterone, right? And so progesterone makes estrogen and its testosterone levels level out in the body. So when a person is at homeostasis or taking cannabis or whatnot, their bodies automatically kind of level out their testosterone versus their estrogen levels, right? And so forth. And it just behooves me that people are, they take estrogen to lower their testosterone and they're running, and that's okay. But when women are having too much estrogen, which a lot of African women have had stories or bouts of their bodies being in a chemical imbalance and having too much testosterone in their bodies, right? When we have an pandemic of estrogen crisis where the chickens are being, injected with estrogen, and they're being plumped up. And then we have this estrogen dominance going on in America. We don't want to talk about, don't want to face reality that this is what's going on, and then throwing women's, menstruation off whack, or maybe they have too much testosterone and they start growing facial hairs or beards or mustaches or whatnot. They're lacking certain normal hormones, and this becomes a problem because of our diet. Our diets are related to these issues that are coming about, and now they're affecting the athletes. It's affecting the Olympics. It's affecting the banning. It's all about knowledge. Okay, so when you don't have proper knowledge, things tend to get out of hand, and therefore the anti-doping laws and the ban about cannabis is just about misinformation. And when they get the correct information and they know what happens to a person's body or a person's mental state, because mentally a person taking cannabis, and I've heard all kinds of stories. I've heard people in the news talking about how cannabis is put into the society for black people to set them up for failure. We heard about Mr. Anslinger, who came about with a ban about cannabis because the white women wanted to have sexual relations with black men, and it made them more vulnerable to the opposite sex, or the opposite race of whatever. And so we've heard so many different stories. We've heard, what people's, opinions are. But the fact and the truth of the matter is it is based upon racial disparities amongst black and Hispanic cultures, okay, or Latin American cultures, basically the Mexicans. When the America was at war with Mexico and all of this stuff was happening, Americans did not like the Mexicans, and therefore in El Paso there was some things about a person killing a police officer because he was high on cannabis. No way in the world is a person that's high on cannabis wants to even go out and do anything bad. They want to sit there, chill. Maybe they get the munchies. I always talk about a cannabis overdose being a good night's rest, and eating until you can't eat no more. So I don't think it has the same effect as an alcoholic drink would. It would cause a person to want to go and be irate. I've seen more alcoholics be more angry than I have seen a person that's high on cannabis or other drugs like cocaine or whatever else, But, they're saying they put this into the black communities. They're making false statements about cannabis being this gateway drug for making people want to go out and get another higher or another type of drug that makes them want to go out and commit all of these negative crimes. I, on the other hand, believe that, and this is my personal opinion, people can feel how they want to feel. This is the Holistic Cannabis Show, so of course we're going to talk about cannabis, but we also talk about it from a holistic aspect. Where on the holistic mind, body, soul, health, education, relationship does this fit? This fits into the health tonight or today because it is based upon your health issues. Cannabis is a healthy supplement. It is not supposed to be synthetically made. Your K2 and your spice. Now that's where we're going to get into the dangerous stuff. That's where you're going to get into banning it because of somebody's taking something that they got from a gas station or they got from a person, JW or whatever, whoever started to create this stuff from their labs or their garages or whatnot, or a chemistry lab or whatever. We're talking about a natural grown plant that has no known bad reactives other than a person getting a good night's sleep, maybe having laughter, maybe getting their bodies back to homeostasis. It's been shown to kill cancer cells. It's been shown to help with Alzheimer's. It's been shown to help with a lot of different ailments, and I have a photo on everything that cannabis does, and we're going to show that for you, and about how cannabis benefits the body, because a lot of people are still unaware, and that's why we have the school. That's why we do the education education. That's why we talk about the health benefits of cannabis, because of course a lot of people are still misinformed. What do you have to say about that, Mr. Henderson?
About what?
About the misinformation. All right, so this is a lot of the health benefits of cannabis, and it does so much for the body. And for them to tell another human being about how they should treat their bodies, to treat themselves against whatever is going on, whether it be a psychological, a mental, or however a health physical ailment, is, I think it's wrong. If you can go back to that, I want to go over that a little bit. It says that THCV, which is another derivative of THC, it reduces the convulsions, and it stimulates and it promotes bone growth. Delta 8 THC, it relieves pain, so you're going to get that from your pain relief. Your Delta 9 is going to reduce vomiting and nausea, relieves pain, it stimulates appetite, and it supersedes muscle spasms. It suppresses muscle spasms. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it sideways. Delta 9 THCA, it aids in sleep, inhibits cancer growth, it suppresses muscle spasms, it reduces inflammation, treats fungal infections. CBC is another one. It's a derivative of, or actually it's a precursor of THC. That's where your THC comes from. It starts out as CBCA as an acid, being that it is a acid form plant. Inhibits cancer cell growth, it promotes bone growth, it reduces inflammation, relieves pain. CBGA, it reduces inflammation, relieves pain, and it slows the bacteria growth. CBG aids in sleep, inhibits cancer cell growth, promotes bone growth, slows bacteria growth. And CBDA, which is the precursor to CBD, that's the flower form. Anytime you see an A at the end of the cannabinoid, it is an acid form, which means that it is in plant form. All right, so I wish that everybody could get educated before they go out on these platforms and have things to say about cannabis and what they feel is being done and how it's affecting Black communities, because people are putting this in the community to set us up. I think that they're putting it in the communities, yes, to set us up for failure, because we're going to jail more rates as any other races, or just being available, because they know that we're going to get hold to it. They know that it has health benefits, and like she said, in the state that she was living in, or she lives in, it's legal. That's why it should have been legalized on a federal level, because if it is legal in this state, we could work for changes for the synthetic cannabis, the other types of cannabis that's derived from, you don't know what's in it because it's laced. When you have legal cannabis, you have lab testers who's going to test your cannabis, who's going to ensure the quality, just like you would want your food to be tested, to make sure there's no harsh chemicals or hormones. And some people don't even care about what they're eating. That's, again, why I am the type of doctor that I am, because I educate you. I get to the bottom line. I get to the underlying cause of what's going on, what you're eating, what's inside of the foods you're eating. We need to do the same thing about the cannabis, because like they said, it has been proven to them about their studies, and their studies being the chemical cannabis, okay, the GMO cannabis, the genetically modified, and y'all can take that to the bank or wherever you want to take it to, because I know what I'm talking about. I know that natural grown cannabis is not the same, not even molecularly same, as a synthetic cannabinoid. Okay, so again, a synthetic cannabinoid has different effects. It's like 100 times the effects of a regular cannabis plant, and they're trying to put this in our pharmacies. They're trying to make, use of this, where there's actual farmers who are using the genetics, the real genetic seeds, to reproduce cannabis that is not going to have you 10 times, 100 times the effects of a regular cannabis plant. All right, or the effects. What do you think, Mr. Henderson?
Well, not much part.
All of it, whatever you want to say.
gonna try to remember everything you said.
Okay, I had a lot to say.
Sha'Carri Richardson. I don't think she got kicked off because of a health benefit of marijuana.
No,
The Olympics have rules,
right.
and those rules say if you get caught with any illicit drugs in your system, when you test it, you get kicked off.
Or you get suspended.
Either way it go, she broke the rule.
Right.
Michael Phelps, Olympic swimmer, same thing happened to him. His medals were taken. Broke the rule. People have to learn that there's rules to this.
Yep.
There's rules to everything.
There are rules, but they don't mean that they're fair.
If the rules is not fair, then you don't have to play the game. You heard?
Right. Right.
If you want to play the game and participate in what they got going on, you got to obey the rules. The girl said that where she live at, that weed is legal. Where she live at? What state she live in?
It's one of those legal states. I can't go to it. I think it was Chicago or somewhere.
If it's in Chicago, then the girl still needed a card. She had to have some type of medical reasoning to give those people.
I think it's recreational legal. So without the
Number two, her
card.
coaches should have did a better job of explaining
Right.
the rules.
Not just that.
The coach,
They should have been able
the
to.
coach did all that about conditioning, help her to run, all this kind of stuff. So, man, coach should have told her, hey, man, at the Olympics, I'm just saying, at the Olympics, ain't no weed.
Right. Right on. You're so
That's what
right.
I'm saying. Now, yeah, the downside is, man, that the girl, you know what I'm saying, she was going through whatever she was going through in her life. Yeah. But, you know, Sha'Carri Richards is not the only person who indulges in weed.
Right.
She's not the only one, even on an Olympic platform.
Right.
And there are things that she could have done to rid her body of those chemicals. It's fat soluble. She could have just not smoked for, 30 days, 60 days, at least until it was over.
Right. And what's
Self-control is an unexcusable thing that a lot of people nowadays, they want to make excuses when they don't have self-control. They want to make excuses for this shit. Ain't no excuses for this shit. If you can't control yourself, it's not the Olympic Committee's fault. Does she supposed to get any kind of sympathy for breaking the rules? Not from here. It ain't none that I can give you on that one, buddy. Only thing I can tell you is probably try it again in another 4 years. That's the only thing I can tell you about it. I'm just saying, I know for sure that there's other marijuana advocates even on the Olympics team. One of them was the fastest man in the world, but he's never got kicked out and told he couldn't run. Okay? So
what happened with him?
he still runs. He's still the fastest man in the world. You know what I'm saying? Ain't
And he's
nobody
an
faster
advocate
than him.
for cannabis.
Oh yeah, yeah. He smokes a lot of weed. You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, with him, he never been kicked off a run. So how is that? And
Right.
why is that?
Right.
He never get kicked off the run. Now, as far as the other girl, you know what I'm saying? As far as the girl saying that she had death of a family member and all that.
Her mom.
You know what I'm saying? I understand, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, death can make some things troublesome mentally. But if you needed to break the rule or violate the rule to try to calm your mental, you probably shouldn't have been running anyway.
Okay.
Maybe you should have got your mind together first. How about that? You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of how about that moments that, you know what I'm saying, that just people just don't think. It's not that I don't think that the girl thought that she was just untouchable and could do whatever she wanted to do. Maybe she went out with her friends and celebrated with a little puff pass. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, man? Maybe, you know, hey, when she was dealing with that trauma situation that she was dealing with, she indulged in a puff pass. Then it was time to go run. Mm-hmm. It could have been day number 23 since she smoked. And it still showed up in her system. Mm-hmm. Still mean the bottom line is the rules. Right. And if you want the rules to change, then maybe the marijuana community should discuss that. I mean, slowly but surely, marijuana is becoming acceptable in the sports arena. Baseball players, football players, basketball players. It's all that matter of time. But if you keep on with the pressure to say, hey, look, this is what it is, maybe somebody needs to have a discussion with the people that's over the Olympics. And then again, you got to consider that where the Olympics are hosted. Is marijuana legal over there? You see what I'm saying? What's the punishment for getting caught with drugs where the Olympics was going to be? Maybe the punishment was going to be way, way worse. Even if they would have said, okay, yeah, go run. Yeah, go fine. Yeah, go. Then she get over there to Japan and smoke. And now she's in trouble on the world stage. Wonder how many people they keep saying, we got your back, we got your back. How many people gonna go help her get free from Japan jail? All right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it's a lot of stuff to consider when you on that platform right there.
Right. All right. So that's where you heard it. You heard it here. Mr. Henderson gave you his 2 cents. And I do totally agree with what he had to say because it is their sport. Okay, so a lot of people say we should go ahead and make our own sports. If they don't want to abide by the rules of these other sports, don't play or don't participate. Well, we just found out that the Olympics will not have any in-person. Everybody needs to watch it. They wanting everyone to watch it from home, and because of the COVID.
Chance to make your statement. Boycott the Olympics and don't watch it.
There you go. You cannot watch it. And she's not going to, right, everybody has a choice. And so there you go. You don't have to watch it. I mean, how many of us really watched it? We only watched it because, we had certain family or friends that was watching it or people from in our communities, like I meant, our communities or people from the schools or whatnot. So, I mean, if they didn't choose us, we probably, wouldn't watch it. But
I don't know nobody that's in the Olympics.
Right.
I don't watch that shit.
Right.
I ain't watching when Michael Phelps was swimming. I ain't watching when Simone Biles was doing gymnastics. I don't watch that shit. There's so much other stuff that I could be doing. You see what I'm saying? It ain't even football season. So
we're gonna watch football.
Really, in my mind, you know what I'm saying, man, until football season come back on, and none of that other shit relevant.
Watch TV. Even the news has gotten bad. So every minute there's about COVID and concerns about COVID spikes and rising of this new Delta virus. We want to talk about that, but we're going to show you this quick clip on Sha'Carri Richardson telling her side of the story, and we want to hear from the horse's mouth. Not calling her a horse, but from the mouth of the person involved, what she had to go through and what she's enduring. So after this
news tied to the Tokyo Olympics that we've been following all morning, Savannah.
Yeah, Sha'Carri Richardson, the U.S. women's 100-meter champion who dominated at the Olympic trials, has tested positive for marijuana following that race. And this morning, that has put her Olympic future in doubt. Sha'Carri's going to be with us for an exclusive live interview just ahead.
But first, more on Richardson's remarkable journey that's drawn her comparisons to the legendary FloJo and what could be a stunning disappointment for an athlete who's won the hearts of millions. With a blazing time and standout style, Sha'Carri Richardson recently punched her ticket to Tokyo.
Richardson's going to Tokyo!
Unbelievable. The fact that I am an Olympian, no matter what is said or anything, I am an Olympian.
Richardson.
At the Olympic trials, the 21-year-old Dallas native won the 100-meter dash in a blazing 10.86 seconds, making her the fastest woman in America. But now it appears her Olympic dreams may have been put on hold. A U.S. Olympic source telling NBC News she failed a drug test after her finals win, testing positive for THC, the chemical found in marijuana. According to her lawyers, Sha'Carri has been suspended from the Olympic team, and her failed test may cause her to lose her spot on Team USA entirely. Her Olympic trial results were automatically disqualified when she tested positive. That means she won't be allowed to compete in her signature event, the 100 meters. But there appears to be an outside chance she could compete in a different event. What's unclear is whether she will appeal the test result and the disqualification, or how long her suspension will last. NBC News has reached out to the USA Track and Field for official comment. Sha'Carri captured the hearts of millions when she ran into the stands after her victory and hugged her grandmother just a week after losing her biological mother.
My family has kept me grounded. This year has been crazy for me. Going from just last week, losing my biological mother, and I'm still here.
And after being notified of her failed drug test, Richardson tweeted yesterday, "I am human." Savannah.
Chanel, thank you. And Sha'Carri Richardson joins us now. Good morning, Sha'Carri. I just want to ask a simple question first. How are you doing?
I'm blessed to be alive. That's about it.
This is not easy. This is a hard moment that you're in right now. And I thank you for being on. And I know you wanted to tell your story. So tell me, what happened? What led up to this positive test?
Just honestly, I want to take responsibility for my actions. I know what I did. I know what I'm supposed to do. No, I'm allowed not to do, and I still made that decision. But not making an excuse or looking for any empathy in my case, but just, however, being in that position of my life, finding out something like that, something that I would say is probably one of the biggest things that have impacted me positively and negatively in my life when it comes to dealing with the relationship I have with my mother. So that definitely was a very heavy topic on me, and people don't understand what it's like to have to, or people do. We all have our different struggles. We all have our different things we deal with. But to put on a face, to have to go in front of the world and put on a face and hide my pain, like who are you, or who am I to tell you how to cope when you're dealing with a pain or you're dealing with a struggle that you've never experienced before, or that you've never thought you would have to deal with. Like, who am I to tell you how to cope? Who am I to tell you that you're wrong for hurting? So I think just honestly, just leading up to that, dealing with my mental health, dealing with my mental as is with leading up to the games, every time stepping on the track, definitely expected to be a record-breaking time or something like that. So just with that, pressure in itself was also just another thing. With this actually been my first full professional career, my first full professional circuit this year due to the pandemic. So just considering all of that put together, long time, my agent, my sponsor, my sponsorship, my family, knowing me dealing with all of this during time. So,
Sha'Carri, I just want people to understand where you're coming from, and tell me if this is correct. But it was a few days before your big race in the trials, you found out that your biological mother had passed away. You found out when a reporter told you, and it was after that you ingested some kind of marijuana. I should mention, you were in Oregon. It's legal in Oregon. You didn't violate any law, but it was against the rules of your sport, and as you said, you knew that. But is that what happened? Is that how this unfolded?
Honestly, yes, that is the story. I had an interview scheduled with my agent. I knew I was having an interview. I knew going into the interview. Like, I was just thinking it would be a normal interview, and then on the interview to hear that information come from a complete stranger was definitely triggering, was definitely nerve-shocking, because it's just like, how are you to tell me that? Like, you know, it's like, and not, no offense against him at all. He's just doing his job, but definitely that sent me in a state of mind, in a state of emotional panic, if anything. And still knowing that I still, even though I'm here, I still have to go out and put on a performance for my dream, go out there and still compete to what it is. So yes, definitely triggered, and from there just blinded by emotions, blinded by sadness, blinded by just hiding hurt, honestly, for the fact that I know that I can't hide myself. So at least in some type of way, I was just trying to hide my pain.
Yeah. You know, the Olympic officials, the U.S. track and field, the anti-doping agencies now have a decision before them. Unfortunately, you will not be able to compete in the Olympics in your race, your individual race, 100 meters. But there is a chance. It's a small chance, but there's a chance you could go to the Olympics and take part in the relay. Are you hopeful for that? Is that what you're holding out hope for at this moment?
Right now, I'm just putting all of my time and energy into dealing with what I need to deal with to heal myself. So if I'm allowed to receive that blessing, then I'm grateful for it. But if not right now, I'm going to just focus on myself.
You know, what would your message be to those who are considering that right now, who are thinking about that, and to your fans, you know, who have fallen in love with you and were so proud of your performance and maybe crushed just as you are in that moment? What would you want to say to them?
I would like to say to my fans and my family, my sponsorship, to the haters too. I apologize as much as I'm disappointed. I know that when I swim on the track, I don't represent myself. I represent a community that has shown me great support, great love. And to y'all, I failed y'all. And so I apologize for the fact that I didn't know how to control my emotions or deal with my emotions during that time. And what I would just leave with my fans, or I would just leave out there, is that, like I tweeted and said yesterday, I'm human. We're human. My statement, what I always say in my interviews, I want to be as transparent as possible with you guys, whether it's good, whether it's bad. But when it comes to Sha'Carri Richardson, it's never been a steroid. It will never be a steroid attached to the name Sha'Carri Richardson. The charge and what the situation was marijuana. I'm not encouraging anybody to do it. I'm not saying, oh, don't do it or anything like that. But if you choose to do things in your personal time or things like that, you just should know, or beware of the consequences, or just know, or just find different ways to just cope or do what it is that will make you feel better. But sitting here, I just say, don't judge me, because I am human. I'm you. I just happen to run a little faster. I understand there's going to be people that still have something to say that don't necessarily understand. And I wouldn't even call them haters if they want to choose to show their character of a person, even after me saying what I've said, and putting myself out there, then that's just on you, your character, and you have to live with that. But I greatly appreciate being able to tell my side of the story. And like I said, to my fans, my family, my sponsorship, and the haters, I greatly apologize if I let you guys down, and I did. And I just want to let y'all know this will be the last time the Olympics don't cheat Sha'Carri Richardson, and this will be the last time the U.S. Doesn't come home with a gold medal in 100. And I feel
Sha'Carri
lines up against me.
Sha'Carri, before I let you go, I think about you and the highs and lows that you've had to deal with, and your dream came true. You dazzled everybody with your performance, but also your words, your hug for your grandma. You've been through so much, and we'll see what happens and what this decision is. But do you plan to keep running? Are you going to keep those Olympic dreams alive no matter what?
Yes, this is just one game. I'm 21. I'm very young. Unlike most, I have plenty of games left in me to compete in, and I have plenty of talent that backs me up. Because everything I do comes from me naturally. No steroid, no anything. This incident was about marijuana. So after my sanction is up, I'll be back and able to compete. And every single time I step on the track, I'll be ready for whatever anti-doping agency to come and get what it is that they need, because this will never happen.
Sha'Carri Richardson, this is, as I said before, not easy, not an easy moment, but you showed a lot of grace and courage to come on and answer those questions, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
All right, so y'all heard it here. Y'all heard it from Sha'Carri Richardson and the reasons why she did, and her apology to all of her fans. I mean, that was so genuine to me. That was so heartfelt, and I really appreciate her even more, because I really honestly to God didn't know who she was. I know that she was considered the fastest woman athlete right now at this time, and this is in the times where, you know, it is hard to do anything, especially as you know, the world we live in, coming, you know, against all the odds, the pandemic and stuff, like she expressed. And I'm just proud of her. I'm proud of her stance for cannabis, and saying that she knew the rule, but she took into her own account of what she knew to help her with whatever problems that she was dealing with. Yeah, there's alternatives to depression. Yes, she could have went and took some benzodiazepines or whatever you want to take, the doctor's going to recommend for you, that's going to ruin your liver and make you, you know, have hallucinogens and make you, you know, want to commit suicide. But they ain't talking about that. You don't hear the Olympics talking about these drugs that's making these people, I'm not just saying athletes, I'm talking about people in general, be more harm to themselves than a simple plant, a cannabis plant. Again, it just goes back to, you know, following the rules, you know, knowing the rules, following what's dear to you. And I'm not judging her. I'm not wanting anyone else to judge her, because she did what she wanted to do. And if running at that time and her emotional issue was going on, and running at that time was not beneficial, then hey, she made whatever choice that she made for her. And no matter what the people are looking at her like, America this, America is so beautiful, America is so free, but you can't, you know, have a freedom of choice of the kind of medications you use. We're just now getting to the point to where Georgia is not even allowed cannabis dispensaries yet. We're still waiting on the license. And speaking of, our next topic was talking about how Georgia Commission went into an executive session right in the middle of the public hearing for the licensees. They were going to process and tell everyone who had won those licenses and so forth. So what do you think about that, Mr. Henderson? What do you think about the video first?
What video?
The interview with Sha'Carri.
No, man, I'm done talking about that. I've already said what I said, man. Follow the rules, you can't lose.
Okay. But what about her justifications? You don't think that there should have been any kind of
her reasoning for smoking weed is her reasoning for smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got their own reasons to do what they do. You know what I'm saying? And just like everybody got their own reasons why they did this and reasons why they said that, guess what? It's still consequences to all that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The consequences could be good or bad depending on the choices that you make.
Right.
So I'm saying, so hey man, it is what it is.
All right.
Next.
All right. So, in next news, Georgia marijuana regulators gets closer to issuing licenses, and there's an article that I'm reading about that comes from Alexander Calabayos, and talks about Georgia regulators are getting closer to issuing the licenses to grow medical marijuana, but isn't quite there yet. All right, so the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Commission voted Wednesday to finalize scores given to the grower applicants. So if you are one of those applicants, I know you all were waiting in, like, you know, who's going to be it? And we have one of our students from the Atlanta Academy of Cannabis Science who was very, very, on edge and anxious about finding out if they had received those licenses or awarded those licenses, but the commission stopped short of awarding them. Okay, so after nearly 2 hours of closed executive session, remember what I just said, they took out during the whole Zoom meeting. It was like a out front live Zoom public meeting that they went into executive session. So they must have not been prepared, and there's some reasons why, and we want to not speculate why they took so long. We want to get to the bottom of it. So after nearly 2 hours of closed executive session, the commission chair addressed members of the public who had tuned in to the virtual meeting to say they would not award licenses yet, while acknowledging the tension over the pace of the application approval process. They said, please do not blow up the phones, blow up the staff, or anybody else of the commission, the phones of the staff, and so forth. And that was coming by Dr. Christopher Edwards. Let them go home to their families. So they felt like they didn't have to issue those licenses. They wanted to go home. They hadn't, didn't know what to say. I think it's more of they don't know what to say, and so forth. So they said that we are so very close, but still so far away, Luttrell said. And this is coming from Joshua Luttrell. He is the CEO of Veterans for Cannabis, and he said that he's eager for the commission to issue the license. And at this time, he said that they know that there are winners. So what are we waiting on? What are they waiting on to issue those licenses? And I know Joshua Luttrell personally. He's a veteran, as such as I am, and we've communicated with with him and his team on many occasions. And we're rooting for you, Mr. Luttrell. We are thankful for the work that you've done in the community, in the cannabis community, for veterans, and the events that we've hosted in the past together. And also, so it says that no one is going to withdraw their applications. So these businesses didn't tie up millions of dollars to then just back out of at the last minute. So it was a $2 million cash on hand was one of the rules and regulations for getting this application. So this wasn't something that they just kind of just threw into, into the states. They actually allocated all 30 of these licensees, which only 6 will be awarded, about $2 million a piece. So what are they doing holding up these people's money? Why aren't they going along with issuing these or awarding these licenses? And it's just, to me, it seems like they're just playing around with us. I mean, they wanting to go home to their families, but what about the families who want and need cannabis as a medication? And we're not talking about a recreational dispensary here in Georgia. We're talking about a medical cannabis dispensary. We're talking about somewhere to go to actually buy the oil. I don't even have CBD oil. I don't have access to things like this. And we have cards, or we have people who have cards or who qualify for the cards. And in Georgia, there's only about 16 qualifying conditions, most of them being in state or in stage conditions like stage 4 cancers. You got to be basically dying, basically incapable of doing anything for yourself in order to get cannabis. And what are they going to be offering? Are they going to be offering the synthetic cannabis? Are they going to be offering the whole cannabis plant, the naturally grown cannabis plant from the natural source cannabis farms. All right, and we do go out to the farms, we do visit farms, and we know the difference. We teach the difference over at Atlanta, Georgia Academy of Cannabis Science. I just want to keep saying how informed you will be gaining the information, so you'll know how to fight for the justices. You will know where the injustices has come from and the history behind the racial profiles of cannabis and the cannabis plants. It's not just about people getting high and smoking it. We have a history of, and anybody know African American history, know that we have a history of post-traumatic stress syndrome, PTSD, which is proven to be a qualifying condition of the cannabis plant because it helps with anxiety, it helps with post-traumatic stress issues, it helps with grieving, it helps with any kind of mental instability. And guess how many African Americans suffer naturally from PTSD? It's a generational curse. We all have. If you lived in a projects, if you lived in a poor area, if you had a death happen in the family, if you've had any type of situation happen to you, you've been in a robbery, you've been any place that has been a harmful effect. If you've been in jail, you have PTSD, okay? A lot of people don't associate the two because they feel like, okay, well, you did this and you knew better. Okay, you don't even know the trauma a lot of these young people went through. A lot of people are still coming forth about molestations that happen, family secrets that has happened, incest in families. You don't know why these people are smoking to cope, and everybody thinks it's recreational. When you get off the bandwagon and you stop trying to say that everything is something that is supposed to be bad or harmful, when you think about the differences between how the heroin and how all these other things have been introduced into the society, how people put that into cannabis into a category with that, then you start understanding that there's a big difference here. Okay, your medications that are chemically pills or whatever, compared to my natural plants or my natural way of healing myself, then you understand that this should not have been an alternative route. This should have been the first choice. And giving me a choice outweighs the benefits and your love for me as a human being and as a citizen. And it should be made known to even those in the Olympics, even those who watch and root for America and their dream to be the best and the freest country in the nation, and how all of this ties up to them not even considering giving them an alternative for their own health and safety. All right,
then change the rules.
We have to do something about it. You see that not even the whole 50 states in the United States of America has chosen to legalize cannabis, but we have certain ones. The first state in the South, Virginia, just passed to go legal, and this is a southern state. None of the southern states want to go full blown with it. They all want to come up with something medical, this, that, this, and the other. Well, guess what? Everybody has gone PTSD because of this pandemic that has happened. We all traumatized, go back to work. We all need something to cope. And if we get sleepy and we want to go and take a sativa or a indica dominant strain or whatever we want to take, I feel like Americans have that choice. If they're 18 and older, and in some states they consider an adult as 17, and in some states they consider adult as 21, we understand that. But if you're an adult and you are allowed to make conscious choices or conscious choices, you have that choice to be able to health wise, and it's proven that it's a health benefit to cannabis. Choose what medication forms you want to take. What if everybody boycotted aspirin or hydrocodone or Tylenol 3s and said, I just want cannabis? If everybody stood together in agreement, we can make some changes, and I bet you they won't be talking about that Olympic after that in Sha'Carri Richardson. So you got to know how to fight your battles and pick your battles. Some of it is worth fighting and some of it is not. Some rules are worth fighting against and some are not. If your child comes in and said, I stole the car because I needed to get to the hospital, versus I stole the car because I wanted to go joyriding, that's something different. You know what I'm saying?
It's still rules. if they legalize marijuana tomorrow morning and say, you know what, all 50 states you're going to go legal, you can have your program however you want to structure your program, we just going to back out of it. Yeah,
Right.
sure, everybody will be happy,
Right.
but it's still
It's
gonna
still
be rules.
It's still going to be rules. A
You see
lot
what
of
I'm saying?
rules will be
People
beneficial.
People say, oh yeah, well, you know what I'm saying, how you got alcohol that's legalized and not the cannabis.
Right.
Even with the alcohol, you can go buy as much alcohol as you want to, but guess what? It's still rules.
Right.
If you get caught and your breath smell like a distillery, what's the punishment for breaking that rule?
Right.
It's called a DUI.
And DUI.
They're
Right.
gonna impound your car. They're gonna, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna ride you on to the clink.
Right.
You broke the rule.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. I want to get finished on this article. So, Georgia legalized low THC oil and products for people with medical conditions in 2005 or 2015, but didn't create a legal framework for production until last year when they got the license. Collaboration going that explained how and what the rules are going to be for issuing those licenses. So Zane Bader, co-founder of the Georgia Cannabis Trade Association, has said applicants have voiced concerns about the process and whether the agency has the staffing or the ability to answer questions about the complexities of the application requirements. Hundreds of questions have been submitted by the businesses and published in a document on the Commission's website, and many of them are answered with the phrase, the applicant should determine its approach without an expectation for Commission guidance on business processes. So that's where we were working together with certain businesses and our organizations and the Pharmacology University to help, with the application processes. If they needed, we were available to be somewhat like an advocate to those applicants. Again, a lot of them were able to do it on their own. A lot of them were from work with outer state people who had gotten their applicants approved and so forth. They knew the processes. But they said as a trade association, one of the things we're trying to do is make sure that the Commission has the resources to adequately do their job and all the business have an environment where they can actually thrive and excel, Bader said. And I think that there are going to have to be some more changes to the way the program is set up to make this happen. The Commission's Executive Director, Andrew Turnage, hasn't responded to the questions about the Commission's timeline, funding, or staffing. And according to the Commission's annual report, Turnage is the only paid staff member. The Governor's Office of Planning and Budget originally recommended the Commission to receive a startup budget of $1.2 million. Instead, lawmakers allocated $225,000 for the 2020 budget year. The Commission reported that the funding didn't cover its basic expenses for concluding the 2021 budget year. The Commission requested $531,000 to fund the operating expenses and so forth, and to add an attorney. It received $352,137. Former Republican State Representative Alan Peake of Macon was the leading supporter of legalizing low THC oil when he was in the General Assembly. He has continued to work with what he characterized as an underground network to bring the oil form out of the state to Georgia. Families importing the oil is illegal. He has applied for a processing license. We're 2 years from passing a bill that said you could grow, process, and distribute medical cannabis oil in our state, he said, but we don't have the license issued to folks who allow them to do that. Okay, so you've heard it. Georgia, you're behind time. We're looking for you to come on with it. If you need some help, Mr. Henderson or I are available to help you with the Commission. Again, they should have ordered someone who had more experience and knew what they were doing when it came to cannabis and the Commission over Georgia. I hate to say that, but that is the truth. I do want to shout out Mr. Kelly Hammock, dear friend of ours who passed away last night from natural causes. We hope that the family and friends, and especially to Dean Sines for being a life partner. He lost the war on drugs. He did not get a chance to see the licenses even issued here in the state of Georgia. So rest in peace, Mr. Kelly Hammock. We love you. We care for you. You were our photographer. You were with us from day one when we first started here in Georgia, and we thank you, sir, for all that you've done for us in the school and for our families, and keeping Dean on top. And I hope he's watching, and I thank you again, Dean, for sharing him with us, and may his soul rest in peace. And Mr. Henderson, it's on you.
See?
All right. Well, that concludes our show for today. And until next week, we will have a episode on relationships and cannabis and how to maintain your sex drive with cannabis. Until next week, peace.